Hi and welcome to Mark's Motivational Podcast for this Thursday episode. This will come live to you tomorrow morning from 9 a.m. So today I'm delighted to be joined by Tony Gordon again. So he was a good friend of mine, and he is brilliant. He's a brilliant coach. So and he has a podcast called Break Free from Your Monkey Mind. So thanks a million for joining me again today, Tony.
That's okay, Mark. Thank you for inviting me along again. Appreciate it.
Yeah, great stuff. Yeah, how are you keeping? All good?
Yeah, very well. Thank you. Yeah, everything's going really good now.
Yeah. So, Tony, would you like to, before we start, give a bit of a background about yourself, like about your coaching practice and your podcast? Would be brilliant.
Yeah. I've been coaching for over 20 years. A lot of it's been in the corporate sector, financial sector, working in a variety of areas from customer services, what used to be called sales areas, so like mortgages and lending, and then in quality performance. Earlier this year, I left redundancy and decided to set my own practice up. But I've been coaching for so long. It's something I'm very, very passionate about. I love helping people. Yeah. But during that time when I was there, I was also a mental health first aider. And it became quite apparent that a lot of the people I was helping with that were really just putting like a Band-Aid on, because we were then having to send them to get referrals to get treatment. And I found out that a lot of people were waiting maybe a year or longer to get treatment. So I decided to do a lot more work myself, because I was already doing part-time hypnotherapy and coaching, and set my own practice up to try and at least fill the gap between them getting those referrals and actually dealing with the situation and the issues it's caused while they're waiting on it, like the stress, the anxiety. Sometimes it leads to depression while they're waiting to get checked. So I set that up, and it's going very well at the moment. In fact, there's a few things carrying again, but a few things that's really expanding for next year. I'm going to be working alongside a couple other people doing some collaborations, but I'll be announcing that very shortly. But I'm really, really pleased with them. Great stuff. And on the side, you said, yeah, I've got a podcast. The podcast came about because of the referrals and the fact that people were actually getting stuck and not able to get any help. Mm-hmm. So I set the podcast up for that reason. He said it's called Break Free from Your Monkey Mind, which is a Buddhist term. They believe that a lot of the problems that people have is because we think too much or too many thoughts in the brain, so it causes overwhelm. So breaking free from that means if you can just think in the moment, you don't think ahead, you don't think back, you can't get anxiety because there's no what if. So I set up in season 1 that really explained my journey and why that I done it, just the issues I had. And I set it up so that people become aware that they had choices as well, especially when dealing with what we call either mental or emotional health issues, and it introduces them to a variety of techniques and processes just to have options rather than Western medicalization only. But season 2 is really changed. This has been more about the people's issues and ways to improve them. Really from questions and feedback from the listeners themselves. I mean, after each episode, I've been getting comments or emails asking for different things. For example, this week, which will be done tomorrow, is something I've never touched on before, really, is relationships. And the question I got specifically is, how do you know that you're dating a toxic person or your relationships became toxic? So it was quite a challenging topic for me because it's not something I've come up against before, but I have had clients with issues like this. So I'm discussing this tomorrow, and that'll go out tomorrow evening. So that's been a bit of a challenge, and that's been a great thing about the podcast, that it's actually bringing things to light that I'm actually learning in my own business.
Yeah, that's great, Tony, because I agree with you 100%, Tony. You're a brilliant coach, and I've obviously had the pleasure of being on your podcast a while ago, a few episodes ago. So what I'll do as well is I'll share your podcast on the links for people to check it out as well. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So no, thanks a lot for coming on today, Tony. And so thanks a lot for sharing all your about your podcast and everything. So that's great. So the reason why I brought you on tonight is really to talk about anchoring. It's a big part of NLP. I'm sure you'll agree with me.
It is definitely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So like the first question I really was going to ask you today was, what way do you use anchoring in your practice yourself, Tony?
Probably a better, Mark, is to explain what anchoring is before
anchoring
really explain to you about where I use it. Because you're right what you said. It's a really important part of NLP. In fact, I was actually coaching for the last week on an NLP practitioners course, it's called. That's the first stage of someone becoming an NLP coach. I know you've explained before to your listeners what NLP is. Now, simply put, anchor to me is one of the simplest but most effective techniques that we use. It helps us basically to store positive feelings and emotions, and we get to retrieve them by using a certain technique whenever we need them. So, for example, if you think about anchoring, it's so much more common than you actually would think for yourself. For example, if you think most couples, they can tell you the first ever song they listen to, or maybe dance to themselves, and they always call it their song, don't they?
Yeah.
And even the first dance that they did in their wedding, most people would be able to tell you what song that was. Or the first time they went on a holiday with a family, or when their child was born, or something like that. These are all things we're anchored to. But I'll ask you a question on it since we're asking about it. What do you think is the most common anchor there is?
Well, I think memories are a big anchor. You know, you have all different kind of memories. Like for me, music could be a big anchoring thing for me. You've just mentioned it, like your favorite song or songs that mean so much to you through the years. Like you know, where the song you danced to at your wedding, or for instance, what happened to me before I even knew about neurolinguistic program. Friend was listening. I probably mentioned before. My friend and myself, my friend were out running, and I looked a bit out of breath, like I was, I was struggling a bit. So what he said to me was, "Put your finger and your thumb together, and you'll find yourself relaxing." And right enough, because whatever he said to me, it did work. So that to me, that was a really big part of anchoring when I found out about it later on, about a year later. So that's
So he must have done something to use it, because that part is the trigger for the anchor.
Yeah.
So he's done something, to make that happen for you.
Yeah.
But you're right. Music, is such a big thing for you. And that's what a lot of people have said. Because if you say to someone, where were you at a certain point in life? And if you mention a song, they can go, "Oh, I remember being there the first time," or first time in a nightclub, first time in a pub. But actually, no, it's not the most common. The most common one is so simple. It's your name.
Yeah.
If you think about it,
Yeah.
wherever you go, you anchor to your name. That's who you are.
Yeah.
And if someone said, if you sit in a pub, or you're in a bus stop, or you're in a shopping centre, and somebody shouts, "Mark, you're head will turn." Probably the majority of times, it's got nothing to do with you, but your head will turn round, because we're so anchored to your name that, wait a minute, sorry, it's not for me. But you think that, and that is, people don't even realise it, but it's the most common thing there are. I heard that again at the training I was at last week with the NLP Scotland, and it's surprising. Each time I hear it, it seems so simple, but nobody seems to realise it. When we're all sitting in the room, we're all going like you, going, "Well, yeah, music, or this could happen," that, and it's very simple. It's just who we are. So that shows how common anchoring is, but how powerful it is as well.
Yeah, because that's really funny you should say that, because I didn't think that firsthand when you asked me that question, you know.
No,
but it is, your name is, because like great point you made there. Anytime you're on a bus and you hear someone call your name, you're even on the bus, you're looking around and talking to me. So it makes so much sense.
Yeah. So now we can understand what an anchor is. Then you asked me if I use it in my practice, and I use it all the time. I use it for individuals as well as groups. You mentioned something a moment ago. The anchor itself is something that's very personal to me, to the individual. You mentioned about the finger and the thumb. That's quite a common one as well, because I actually use that at times. My left hand, I don't use it with my right. And the reason I say that is the reason it should be individual, because you try and get them to use something they don't normally do. So the anchor is so strong, because if you don't, they'll be anchoring all the time. So, for example, if someone squeezes maybe their thumb on their right hand with a finger, but they commonly do that, or they play maybe a guitar and they use a pocket that, they'll be anchored every 5 minutes. So there's no point in doing it with something you commonly do. Pick something that's unusual. So if you are going to do it with your finger, your index finger and your thumb, use the opposite of your main hand. So whatever hand's not your dominant hand, use that one, because you wouldn't normally do that. Other ones that people use is, some people use like a band that they actually get an anchored band or an elastic band, is simple enough. Put it on your wrist, and every time you want to have the emotion you want, you just flick it. And that ping on your hand stimulates you, and it brings the memory. Other people you'll see, maybe if you notice someone doing it in public and you see them squeeze their ear, just the earlobe, you might see with two fingers, their thumb and their index finger squeezing their ear. That can be an anchor as well. Some people use that as a memory one. it's not like pain, but it's like a little sharp feeling that just stimulates you to bring that up. But that's the important part that I try and get across to people, is make sure it's unusual.
Yeah.
Maybe you'll see somebody do a tight fist for about 20, 30 seconds. They'll do that and it stays. No matter what the anchor is, the most important thing about it is that it's not too conspicuous so you don't feel awkward doing it in public, but that it matters to you and you know it works. So that's the best thing for it to do. So that's what I try and use it in a lot of different situations, where it's coaching or where it's in hypnotherapy, when you use it more as a trigger, but it's an anchor. I use it in both. And I do different styles of coaching. You mentioned NLP, and it is from NLP, but I will use it in performance coaching, life coaching if I do that, some breakthrough, or if I use it in hypnotherapy. So all over my practice, I'll use anchoring.
Yeah. No, thanks very much for that, Tony, because that makes so much sense. Like for like a lot of people, when you're learned from different coaches and teachers, when they're teaching NLP, would generally go to that finger and thumb.
Yeah.
I don't know if you found that as well. So giving people other options, you may not even think of that, if you're not familiar with them. So that's really, really good takeaway, Tony. So thanks a million for that.
No, it's okay. It's just, it's something that bothers me when people keep using the same thing. If you keep using it, you'll anchor everything. So pick something you don't normally use or you've never used before. That way, it's more special for you.
Like the next question I was going to ask you, Tony, as well. That's brilliant. Was you kind of answered in the last one, really, but you were saying about hypnotherapy. Would you think anchoring is a form of hypnosis or trance?
I was asked this question before, and the person that asked me didn't think really it was, and I disagree. Hypnosis, and its explanation, you're right, is the art of putting someone into a trance, which is really changing the state they're in. We call it altered state, so changing the altered state of consciousness. So if you're doing that, it's to make the person more suggestible, so you can help them to change different parts of their life or issues that they have. And it is critical aspects of the thinking to do to get them to relax. So therefore, if you think about it, if all this is trance, and if you actually think of an anchor in that definition, because if you're changing someone's state and you get an anchor that thinks of music and it can make them smile, or it thinks of the person they love, or it makes them happy, or it makes them courageous, whatever it is, you're actually changing that person's mental state. So therefore, if you actually look at in those terms, by changing the state and putting them into trance, then yes, that is a form of hypnosis.
Yeah.
And that's my opinion. It's not maybe everybody's, but I think it is, because anything you do to change someone's state really is hypnosis. The one thing that people get mixed up with, because the wording some people use when we do hypnosis or hypnotherapy will say about relax, it's because it makes it easier for people to understand. But when you're actually in hypnosis, it's the opposite of relax. Hypnosis is a heightened state of awareness. That's why we can get the change to happen when you're in that state. But the relax is your body relaxes, but your mind is more aware, if that makes sense.
Oh, it does, yeah. Like it's like suggestion, it really isn't it, Tony? Like like it's all kind of suggestions. So like
that's what hypnotherapy or hypnosis is. Yeah, it's all about suggestibility. If the person's suggestible enough, can actually be in a state, a change of consciousness, the type of state that they're in. There, state isn't. Some people say state or look at the state of them as an issue. It's a state as in there's different states we can be in at different times. And if we're in that one and the person can actually take on board everything that the hypnotist or the hypnotherapist is saying, and just to explain that, everything is hypnosis, right? Hypnosis is all of it. The difference between a hypnotist and a hypnotherapist is just the word at the end, therapist. A hypnotist is someone who does hypnosis. A hypnotherapist uses it for therapy. That's the only difference. They're both trained the same way. They just use it for different reasons.
Yeah, thanks for clearing it up, because a lot of people would be confused with the area of hypnotherapy, because there's the stage hypnosis and then there's, helping hypnotherapy as well, isn't there?
Yeah, well, I'm actually just doing that now. I've just started doing stage and street hypnosis. Okay. And you actually pick things up for when you're doing it that you can use in therapy. That's what the person, fair enough, he's from Ireland. He's from Northern Ireland. Turan Mirsas, his name, from Feel Good Hypnosis, if anybody wants to look him up. He's amazing at what he does. He does a lot of street and stage hypnosis, but the street hypnosis he does all the time are actually things we use in therapy, and that's how he's trained me to do that, is so that I can, the more I do it, the more things I will pick up, but also you've got people who think in different ways. And sometimes doing the type of hypnotherapy that you or hypnosis you will do in the street is quicker than sometimes what you do in a therapy session. So actually it can help people who think different ways, because you can get them into the state you need a lot faster. So you can do different work with them as well. So although people think it's all about fun and entertainment, in the back of that, there is still a lot of things there that actually can be used to help them in different ways.
Yeah,
you can also have a bit of fun at the same time when you're doing it, obviously in the street. But as long as people get asked me, don't make me cluck like a chicken. Make them walk like one, but I wouldn't make them cluck like one. No.
No, it is a great night out, Tony, isn't it, to go to see a hypnotist? Like,
yeah, it's great fun. I think I've only ever really seen, I think, one full show of that previously until I started doing it.
Yeah.
And I think it's because there was all this different opinion of it. When I looked at it previously, people would look at it as being, the fun side or it's entertainment, but they didn't realise the skill it takes and the training it still takes to do that. And as I said, when you get somebody training hypnotism and somebody training hypnotherapy, they both train the same way. They just use it for different reasons. So everybody that really can do them could do either. If they wanted to, they could do either of them. It just takes slightly different bit of skill that you learn to do each thing. And it's like any job. It's just the work you put into it. I say a job, but for me, it's a vocation. It's something I love doing because the change that people can get, the way you can impact their lives is amazing. And anchoring is such a big part of that.
Yeah, like we might do some time where you come on, we talk about hypnotherapy and hypnosis. If
that's fine. I don't mind that. Yeah,
do an episode on that. That'd be brilliant. So thanks very much for all that information. That's brilliant. So you said you were going to do kind of an anchoring thing just for people to take away, Tony, today. Would you be happy to do that?
Well, yes, but it's not for real. People take away from it what you get out of it, because it's you I'm going to do it on. There's no point in me just doing it so that people there can actually hear what I'm doing. We might as well do it as a practical thing.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned about a friend of yours then when you were out running who actually did something that made you an anchor because it made you feel relaxed.
Yeah.
What emotion would you like to feel? So, for example, something I mentioned earlier, happiness, love, confidence, a big one, courage. What is it you would like to feel?
I should have thought this before the show. Sorry.
No, even just it's just anything that just quickly comes to mind that you would like to be able to bring up.
Well, probably more confidence, Tony. More confidence.
Confidence. All right. So
that's me doing a podcast, but there you go. We all need
different. Okay, so what I want you to do is just to think for a second. Just close your eyes for a second.
Yeah.
And just settle your breathing. So you just constantly check your breathing for a few seconds. So just breathe in through your nose and breathe out through your mouth. Just for a few seconds. It just helps to get you a little more relaxed. Don't worry, I'm not putting you into a hypnosis or anything. It's just to get you a little bit more relaxed and let your heart rate come down. And what I want you to do is think of a time when you did feel really confident. Something that you did. It could be a memory if you're feeling confident. Any circumstance you think that when you were like that. Have you got one?
Yeah.
Okay. So what you do now is just to relax for a few seconds and let the memory come into your mind. It'll naturally just come straight there if you're thinking about it.
Yeah.
All right. Now, before we really get into this, what I want you to do is to think of when I ask you to put the anchor on. What I mean by that is, we spoke earlier about there's different things you can do. You mentioned about the friend that got to do it in your right hand when you had your index finger and your thumb. Pick whatever suits you. It may be the one on your left hand doing the same thing. You could press your left hand into your left thumb. It could be a fist you're making. It could be, as I said, a tapping. Use your right hand middle finger to flick your left wrist. Anything at all you can do, but have it set in your mind just now what you're going to do when I tell you to do it. Are you okay with that?
Yeah, Tony, thanks. Yeah.
Right. So I want you to really think, and I mean really think closely so that you can actually feel what that memory was like when you felt that confident. I want you to feel how you stood, how your body felt. Like, for example, was your shoulders open? Was your chest out? Did you feel puffed up? Were you standing taller than normal? Did you feel really on a high? Something that made you real. What did you hear when you were like that? What did you see when you were like that? How did people react to you when you looked that confident? All those things, keep them and just keep feeling them. Can you do that? Good. What I want you to do now then is try, and everything I say now, if you can't actually imagine it, just try your best to even make it up, just so you get the feeling up. What I want you now is to make as if you've got little dials there. I want you to turn one up, which is the volume. So it's making the sound you hear when you're that confident louder. So it's louder and louder in you. I want you to turn one up that actually is how it affects your body, the feelings, the emotions inside. Just imagine that that confidence is like an object that's just went inside your body. It's like an object of light. And that beautiful light has got a warm feeling inside you. And as that goes in, it goes into your heart. And as that goes into your heart, just like your heart would pump blood through, it now pumps all those beautiful emotions of confidence. All those feelings go right through your body. It's going through, you feel it go through your arms. You even feel the hairs in your arms stand up in the back of your neck because you feel amazing. You feel so good that you could go out any time now and be that confident person again. Where at a state are in that you could do that, you're going to be able to do that. Now I want you to turn up that even higher, make it even brighter, that image, so you really feel it inside. Feel that warmth as that's going through you. Every part of you now is feeling that confidence, every bit. And the thing we call on NLP is future pacing. I want you to think of a time mark in a week, a month, 6 months, a year, when you could be that confident person again. Just imagine, it might be a social gathering, it might be meeting family members, it might be going to a pub, it might just be in work. Whatever it is, I want you to imagine yourself now standing there, that confident person, how that feels, how people react to you when you look that good, how amazing you feel inside, when all that confidence there, your face is smiling, everything, you can see it light up, your whole body's lit up, your face is lit up, everything's there, that's it. You can see that now in you, you feel that great. You actually feel as though you stand 2 or 3 inches taller. It's as if someone's got a rope or something on the top of your head and they can just lift it and tug it and you start moving up. Your shoulders go back, your chest goes out. You feel fantastic. You feel it. And what makes it even better is you're listening to the things that people are saying. They're commenting how good you look. Now you look at that and you think that's you, that's going to be you in that 1 week, a month, 6 months, a year, whatever you want. But the more you feel that the now, really let that emotion go through your whole body. And as it does, in 2 seconds, I'm going to say to you, 1, 2, and I want you to make anchor, whatever the anchor is you've got, when that feeling is really that high. So you ready? 1, 2, do your anchor, keep it there for 20, 30 seconds. Keep pressing, 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 pressing. And as you do that, make that bigger, make that image even louder, make it brighter, make it sound better, but make the feeling even better in your heart as it goes through every part of your body. Feel it over and over and over. Stop, ease the anchor down and just let yourself settle for a few seconds. Just take a few seconds and let that settle down on you and let that feeling just go through you. Because not only is that going to be great for a month, 6 months, whenever you need that, but whenever you need that now, and you're in any situation when you might not feel as confident as you'd like, you just press that anchor you just made and you'll start to feel that and let it build up in your head. Just do what you did there now. Press your anchor, the emotion will come back and just let that take over your body for a few seconds and then step out into whatever it is you've got to do and you will feel brilliant.
Wow.
So just take your time, a few seconds when you open your eyes, just to make sure you're okay.
That was brilliant.
What you do is just do one more thing then, just so that people know. I'm going to tell you just to shut your eyes one more time. If you're okay then now, press that and let's see what feeling you get back. Now press whatever your anchor is and just imagine that feeling come back into your body now. Now look at the smile on your face already, and that's you only just pressed it. So just imagine that feeling go through every part of you. Whatever you've got to face, you know you can face it because you know you're good enough. You've got that confidence. That's it. Just let it go now. And just take a few seconds again, just to settle yourself again, just open your eyes.
Wow.
Problem with anchoring like that is when you get a good one like confidence, people don't want to let it go. You try and use it all the time, but use it when you need it. It's there. You know you can press that and you know it'll come back. As long as you make sure, the most important thing with the anchor, if you're going to do it at all, you can do that yourself. Stand in front of a mirror or do it on Zoom with that if someone's got access to that. Talk to yourself and do that. Just do what I just did with you. But wait until you get that feeling like you did when your lips start to go up, you feel yourself smile, you can feel every part of your life, then hit your anchor. The higher point you've got, the most emotional feeling you've got, that's when you want to hit the anchor. Hold it for 20 or 30 seconds and then release. And then every time you need that again, you just press that and it comes back. And if you do it right, or you get someone like me to do that, you can do it with any emotion. Whatever the emotion you want is there. So love, happiness, confidence, courage, whatever you want, resilience, whatever you need, you can do that. As long as you can imagine it and we can talk you through it. And I can talk anybody through anything like that, so they'll keep that.
That was brilliant, Tony. Absolutely brilliant, because I actually felt and remembered a memory, like I could actually visually see it like in front of me. And then when you anchored it for me, future pacing to another where I was doing something similar that was before, and to actually hear the crowd getting louder, it was just absolutely brilliant. So thanks very much.
That's the difference with the one this person did you before. He anchored something to help you relax, but if you do it and someone can actually see it in the future, they know how it's supposed to feel in the future. So whenever they need it, they know now. If you've tested it, you know it works. If I just did that and left it, you don't know if it was going to work. Neither would your audience would know it was going to work. But now that you've tested it yourself, you can actually explain those feelings so they can understand that. If anybody has got any issues with that, if you give them my website, they can contact me. Anybody's getting that, and I'm happy to deal with any of this. There's not much I don't deal with. So for the different types of coaching and hypnotherapy I do, I'm happy to deal with people. And because of, I'm a very lucky person, because of access like Zoom or Teams or Messenger, I can deal with anybody from any part of the world.
Yeah, and I'll definitely share your website as well, like for people to contact you, because that was a brilliant experience. Like for anybody that's listening, it was really helped me big time, you know. So that was great, Tony. Great.
No, thank you for that. As I said, I really appreciate coming on. And yeah, if there's anything that would help your listeners that way out, the hypnosis or hypnotherapy, they want to know about that, then yeah, any time you need that, just let me know and I'll come on and do that as well. It's great for me because it's making people more aware of not just me, but in even the local area, they'll have people there that they can get help from that don't struggle on your own. That's the biggest thing I say my podcast was all about, is letting people know there's all these options that are available to them. Never ever sit at home and struggle. There's so much out there that people can help with. Please go and contact somebody. If I'm not the right person for you, I will try and find someone that suits you better. So just make sure you take that step forward, because as soon as you do that, then you're helping yourself right away by just doing it.
Yeah, Tony, is brilliant. Yeah, thanks very much. You might just say your website to let everybody know that you're there.
It's our website is changingyourmindlimited.com. So if they just put in, it'd be www.changingyourmindlimited.com. And the limited is spelled LTD. Yeah. So it's about changingyourmindlimited.com, or email me Tony Gordon at changingyourmindlimited.com, and I'll get back to them, arrange somewhere time we can have a chat. I always do a consultation for everybody free anyway. So it just gives them a chance to find out if they want to work with me or I want to work with them. Sometimes they just need some advice. So if there's anybody got into that, there's no problem. They can contact me anytime.
Well, I really appreciate you doing that experience tonight as well, Tony. That was amazing.
To me, it's better because it's better than just talking something if people can actually experience it themselves. Yeah. And then they know what it's like and how it can help. It is, because people just say, oh, it's only anchoring. But to me, I said it is such a powerful thing. And if you do other things right for someone, you can do that at the end. So that's something can always take something away with them. They're always leaving with that nice, hopefully. People always get that as an emotion that you just got. Something like that is always good for them.
Yeah, so one last thing, Tony. Sorry, the switch pattern. Do you use the switch pattern a lot? That's a form of anchoring as well, isn't it?
Well, it's not really a form of anchoring, but as a technique in NLP, it's a way of changing your perspective on something. So if you've got something like that empowers you, or it's something you really like and something you don't like, and you're trying to swap them so that you can get rid of that one that you don't like for something you like, then the switch pattern can be really good for that. Yeah. It's a very quick technique. It probably takes about 5-6 minutes or something to do. You can do it maybe a bit longer depending on the individual, but anything between 5 and 15 minutes to do it. I normally use it as part of other things, so not always just on its own. So that, like you mentioned, you could use anchoring after that, because that will dull down sometimes an issue that a person has. But depending on what causes the issue, you may need to do something else to make sure you get rid of it completely. So I would use it's a good little technique, but I would use it usually as part of something treatment rather than on its own all the time.
Right. Yeah. So listen, I really appreciate coming on tonight, Tony, to discuss anchoring. We'll definitely get you back on again to talk about hypnosis whenever you can.
Yeah, that's totally fine. Yeah, anytime I'll come on. That's great. I always appreciate that because I always get things with you anyway. And it's always nice having a different audience that gets to know it as well. And if I can help anybody anywhere, I'm happy to do it.
Yeah. No, listen, thanks very much, Tony. So that was Tony Gordon. Everybody, hit the name of his website, or the name of his podcast again is break free from your monkey mind, make sure you check that
Mm-hmm.
one out. So listen, stay tuned. We're going to have another podcast on Sunday, Music Sunday. So listen, take good care of yourselves, and thanks for listening. Thanks again, Tony.
Thank you very much, Mark, for on, and thank you, everybody. Take care of yourselves.
Take care. Thank you.